All right. The sound of another Malarkey hour coming right at ya. This is your host, Matt, and sitting across from me on my screen is Mr. John. How's it going, sir?
Uh,
John, day 494 of this quarantine. Day 17 of you not leaving your house or showering. How's it going?
I miss showering.
You miss showering. Yeah. But you're trying to show solidarity to everybody suffering out there. It's your own private form of protest in these uncertain times, John.
No,
Um,
silent protest.
silent but stinky. You know, John, I figure since, so few things are really populating our headlines nowadays. There's not much going on in the world, right? Other than,
There's probably lots and lots and lots of things going on.
but I'm not seeing it in the headline, John, and that's what counts. If I don't see it on, you know, the CNN or the MSNBC or the Fox News ticker, it didn't happen. So I'm not seeing much other than the Michael Jordan documentary. There's nothing else on the news except.
You mean because corrupt lobbyists and government buy our media?
I don't know, John. I think that's
Is
just
that-
heavy speculation.
Uh,
But I figure we go back to days of multiple headlines where a lot of things were going on, and not just one thing was dominating the.
There's a puppy at the end of the news. I said that there's always a puppy at the end of the news.
I miss those times, John. I miss those puppy times. So I figure we go back to a second.
The day it's and the puppy, right? Has coronavirus.
Yeah, that's what I fear. We're gonna get back to the puppy, and that's gonna be the first news of that puppy. But no, I figure we go back to an oak segment since it's been so long, John. I figure we go back to a segment. I don't think we've done this in a long time. This segment is like I'm like dusting it off the shelf. It's growing a little mold on there, but I cleaned it nice and good, and we're gonna use this segment for this week. That segment is called. Do you remember a segment we used to do called "Dewey Defeats Truman"?
Yes.
Just to remind our listeners, and maybe they're new to the show and they never heard it, or they're longtime listeners and they just forgot. This segment, "Dewey Defeats Truman," is named after that famous headline of our former president Harry Truman holding up a newspaper declaring Dewey as the president. Because back in the day, John, they had to print up those newspapers way in advance, and everybody thought that Dewey was gonna win that 1948 election, and he didn't. So we named this segment "Dewey Defeats Truman" because in this segment we explore news stories with headlines, and maybe you don't know the whole story behind it. So we figure we'll get more in depth in some of these headline stories. So I figure we go way back, John, way back to the early days of the. Remember the early '90s, John? What were we doing in the early '90s?
Realizing that I couldn't play sports.
John was looking at the defeats of his non-athleticism, but I want to go back particularly 29 years ago to 1991, and I want to go back to that headline. I don't know if you remember this as a kid out in the baseball field, not catching those fly balls, but remember the beating of Rodney King by the LAPD.
Yes.
You do remember it. I have a vague recollection of this, but
I remember it because I don't know. I just one of those things. I remember my cousin bringing it up a bunch of times.
So, what was your cousin, pro Rodney King or pro LAPD?
Well, I think the reason he brought it up is because it's not a. I don't know how common the name Rodney is, but I remember my cousin would say it because his name is Rodney.
So he connected at a like a.
Well, people he's not black, but my cousin. But
Uh-huh.
people were just calling him Rodney King like all the time, like because when it came out. Like,
It was an easy connection. It's like, hey, your name is Rodney. Are you real? Do you know Rodney King?
yeah, yeah.
So, no, yeah, Rodney King was, as you mentioned, was a black gentleman, and on March 3rd, 1991, the LAPD beat the shit out of him, John. Beat the shit out of him, and you know what? I'm sure at the time there's a lot of this going on, but in this particular case, a civilian happened to film.
Someone finally took out a video camera.
Yes, which in today's world, it is one of those crazy things, and if say you're younger, you're under 30, right, and you didn't live during this time, you might feel like, well, why is that a big deal, right? In today's world, everybody has cameras, so people don't realize how crazy big that was, because back in the day, not everybody had wasn't carrying around a camera in their pocket. So for somebody
Right.
to get this event on videotape was a big deal. So, like I mentioned, March 3rd, 1991, King was violently beaten by the LAPD by a bunch of LAPD officers. Apparently, he was being arrested, and he was fleeing and resisting arrest on a LA highway. And a civilian, like I mentioned, his name was George Holliday, happened to film the incident from his balcony. I guess the incident happened by his residence, and he shot the film, and he sent the footage to a local news station, KTLA, and the station aired the footage, and it showed Mr. King being beaten repeatedly by officers of the LAPD, and this incident sparked outrage across not just the United States but across the world.
Yeah, what's just coincidental is because I have no idea what we're gonna do here until I actually still don't know what we're doing. But I actually just saw this video again, like in the last 2 weeks.
Rodney King.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because I was watching something on kind of on OJ, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what's funny is you should there's this horrible movie with what's that chick's name from American Pie? The not Tara Reid, the blonde one that kind of had a big head.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about the one from American Beauty.
Yeah, her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot her name. Yeah.
yeah. She looked pretty hot. It's from like 2019, and she plays Nicole Brown Simpson, and it's trying to put it from the point of view of the Casanova killer and how he might have done it, and not OJ. But the whole movie, it's just like I don't know, like it kind of just drags and then it just goes nowhere because it's like the investigation or of Nicole Brown Simpson, blah blah blah, and
Mm-hmm.
Ron Goldman, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, it just drags. I'm waiting for it to like for the evidence and the clues, and they never get there. But it's just like, yeah, and then they like recap the trial and everything in like a minute at the end. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Just gloss over the biggest trial of the
yeah,
last century. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I'm trying to see like, why do you even think this is possible that it was this guy, the serial killer, and not OJ?
And then they were never able to really give a
Yeah,
convincing
but
argument.
apparently she hired the guy to paint her house,
And that's it. Like
and,
that was their one connection.
and she found, well, the guy who she hired, I don't know how much of this is true or accurate, but was somebody that was painting one of her neighbor's houses, and her neighbor was killed by the guy.
Oh, okay. So they try to say
Like,
maybe he
yeah.
okay.
And what's funny is in the movie he has this alter ego, kind of like Son of Sam shit going on,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like Charlie, like his evil in his head kind of shit,
Mm-hmm.
like Charlie's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you remember that video of OJ a few years back where he's just talking about how he's like when he saw the bodies and there was blood and he's like and Charlie was there and then he never talked about it again. And I was just like, who the fuck is Charlie? It's just a weird thing. Yeah.
That's crazy. Um, well,
So I
so
don't think OJ did it.
well, so they showed the Rodney footage just from the I know they brought up during the trial. They try to connect the the racism in the LAPD and try to connect it. They're trying to railroad OJ because he was black. But did they just showed the footage in the movie?
Well,
Or?
that's when they speeded up at the end, like
Oh, okay.
what actually happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If I think that's where I saw it. Unless
Okay.
I started going down YouTube and watching videos, but I'm pretty sure they'd showed it in the movie.
All right, all right. The whole Rodney thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the Rodney thing happened in '91, and then what do you think? What happened? What 94, 95?
I want to say 94.
Yeah. Well, the trial happened in '95. That's what it was. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it was a pretty big thing in the early to mid '90s. So what was even bigger? Just the footage itself was sort of incited a lot of outrage, like I mentioned, and disbelief. But I think what made it even worse, obviously, was it was 4 officers. They were tried on charges of use of police brutality, and if anybody who's seen the videos, it was pretty brutal. And 3 were acquitted, and the jury failed to reach a verdict on one charge for the 4th. So within hours of the acquittals, the 1992 Los Angeles riots commenced, and this sparked outrage, obviously with a lot of African Americans over the verdict. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't a nice time. I don't think for people really liking the police. Um, so
Still not the biggest fan.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, the riot lasted 6 days. It killed 63 people, and it injured over 2,000 more. And it ended only after the California Army National Guard, the U.S. Army, and the United States Marine Corps sent in reinforcements to control the riots. So
They brought in the Marine Corps.
yeah, they brought in the big guns, John. So
Remember that guy is in California that stole the tank?
when was this?
There's footage. I think it was the 90s.
Oh, I think I've seen it in one of those like late night when they used to do those crazy police footage stuff back in the day. Yeah, they remember from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny. It's running over a lot of shit.
Well, you know what, John? I think a lot of people, I think like yourself and even me, I've heard bits and pieces just throughout the years a little bit from Rodney King, but I don't think a lot of people really know like a lot of the history behind it. I think people they either seen the video or they know a little bit of like, oh, the whole Rodney, and then all the jokes that they came from it in years after the incidents where anybody was being beaten. It's like, oh, Rodney King, right? Saw it in a bunch of movies and being joked about. But let's go back and see who this King fellow was, John. So Rodney King was born in Sacramento, California, in 1965. He was he and his 4 siblings grew up in a place called Altadena, California. And this is the thing I think a lot of people who were for the LAPD sort of brought up the fact that obviously Rodney King wasn't like the wasn't an angel, right? He started his his criminal career, as you might say, in 1989, where he robbed a store in Monterey Park, California. Apparently, he threatened the Korean store owner with an iron bar, and he hit him with a wooden pole. He stole $200 in cash during the robbery. He was caught, convicted, and sentenced to 2 years imprisonment. So he was released a year later in 1990 after serving 1 year in prison. But it goes back to the fact, right? Like, yeah, I mean, nobody's a perfect person, right? And obviously, if a lot of times if the police are dealing with somebody, it's probably they're probably doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. But even
if people are watching that Michael Jordan documentary, he claims to be a perfect person. It definitely feels that way. I'm not done with it yet. I'm thinking he doesn't go 6-0 in the finals though.
Yeah.
That's where my money's at.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, regardless of that, though, like it does go back to the well, yeah. I mean, it's even if the person's committing a crime at the time, it's you can
What
argue.
did what did he do? Right, like I'm not here listening to him. I know he robbed a convenience store.
Well, this is prior to this. I'm just doing a little bit of history on him. While he was still a teenager, he had a daughter with his girlfriend, uh, Carmen Simpson. Coincidentally, his girlfriend's last name was Simpson. Maybe there's a connection there, John, with O.J. Simpson.
Yeah,
Um, he later
very
he
very observant.
he he later married Danita Lyles, and then eventually they divorced. So in 1991, John, so let's jump forward a little bit. In 1991, during that incident on March 3rd, him and his friends Brian Allen and Freddie Helms, they were driving a 1997 Hyundai Excel.
I
Um,
don't know what that looks like.
it's really blocky. It's a really blocky car. So you want to look it up. It's like
It's a
it's
91 XL.
it's like a I want to say it like a hatchback. Maybe yeah. I think it's a hatchback. Yeah. Um,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it.
so they're driving their very nice Hyundai Excel down the Foothill Freeway in the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles. The three had spent the night watching basketball and drinking at a friend's house in Los Angeles. So at around 12:30 a.m., officers Tim and Melanie Singer, husband and wife members of the California Highway Patrol. Can you imagine working with your wife and you're an officer? That's a weird
Yeah.
dynamic. All right, husband and wife team working together on the police force.
Right. I'd
So
like you to meet your new partner.
your wife. So apparently,
Okay.
this husband and wife.
It'd be a fucking terrible romantic comedy that I could see them making. Like some
Yeah. Yeah. So this I don't even know how they allow
would
it
you cast?
in that hype like today or back in the 90s.
Doesn't matter.
Because the answer in the 90s is easy. You would cast Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
But in today's world, who would we cast? Who would be the guy? I don't know. I'm a little out of touch in today's romantic comedy. Like the romantic comedies are big on Netflix, aren't they?
Probably.
Like hasn't Netflix sort of cornered the market on like romantic comedies nowadays, especially in like the younger
Probably don't
generation.
Yeah, probably because they probably don't want to take a risk on those.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I'm a little out of touch on who's doing romantic comedies nowadays. Um,
I just saw another. What is that Happy Madison movie?
oh, okay. Another.
What is it called? With David Spade? I don't know. I just saw it on the menu and I got through it.
David Spade's new Netflix movie.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called. Something Miss Something, right?
Something Missy?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it good?
No.
No, but I don't know. I don't know who would star in this romantic comedy about husband and wife police team.
But you want the chick to be kind of like tough too, but still hot.
Yeah, like you know what? I would go older with the woman. I think, maybe like what's that actor's name? The one on remember the third season of True Detective? No, the second season of True Detective. I'm like blanking on her name. She was in Mean Girls. She was in Mean Girls. She was a blonde, but then after that she wasn't blonde.
Oh, yeah. Can't believe I'm blanking on her name. I love her.
Yeah, like she showed she could play a cop in that show. So you know what? I could see her doing that. Her being the female, and then maybe
Rachel
like
McAdams.
there you go, Rachel McAdams as the female, and maybe like a
See, just make it easy and do Jason Bateman. They already made Game Night.
no, it has to be a believable cop. I can't see him as a cop.
No, I'm just saying because it's like it would be kind of funny because he'd kind of be the like the weaker one.
Oh, that's true, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, I go with that. Just like yeah, just have them like reteam. They're pretty good as a couple in that movie. So
yeah, that's actually a funny movie.
yeah. So going back, so yeah, apparently this husband and wife team working. It's crazy that they
What
don't
what
work
is
together.
Jason? What is Jason Bateman? It is kind of the same character, right?
He plays, yeah. I mean, a lot of actors do
Like
that. He's playing the same character over and over.
yeah, but it's kind of like he's like the logical guy,
Yeah,
or like the one that doesn't want to like have any fun.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's
And if
still
you
I don't know.
and if you know anything about Jason Bateman's,
But he still gets caught up in all the action.
yeah, and if you know anything about Jason Bateman's real life, apparently he wasn't that. He was the opposite when he was younger. So, um, but no, yeah. So going back to the husband wife team. So yeah, they noticed King's car was speeding on the freeway. So they pursued him. Um, and apparently the pursuit reached 117 miles an hour. Have you ever driven 117 miles an hour, John? On city streets?
On the highway, yes, probably.
That's pretty fast. So apparently King
I'm
refused.
not something I would do today.
Ah, okay. John's a more responsible
And I, and
person.
I've probably I've been with people who've gone faster than that
Yeah.
in the passenger seat, and I've done it myself.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the cars in the early 2000s had a governor though, because you don't need to go 100 miles an hour. You know,
Yeah,
much
usually, right?
much less 117.
Yeah. So apparently
I,
King refused to pull over.
before I forget this, I was gonna say I remember that red F-150 that I used to have.
Mm-hmm.
I remember trying to keep up with a friend on the way to a party,
Uh-huh.
and I couldn't because my governor it would only let me go 97,
Mm-hmm.
and I could not, and I lost it. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
like I literally couldn't keep up. I lost. I had to call. I got lost. I was like, it's not that I wasn't trying to follow you. I was going as fast as the car would allow me to drive.
Right. Not enough ponies in your car, John.
Yeah.
That's the cool case would say. No, so King, King obviously didn't have that issue. He went way over 100 miles an hour, and he said that he later said he tried to outrun the police because, I think it's a pretty good excuse. He said, because a charge of driving under the influence would violate his parole, and apparently he had been drinking. So remember the previous robbery conviction. It was gonna look bad on him. So he
So
said,
he was on parole when this happened.
yeah, he was on parole. So, uh, so apparently he left the freeway. Still, good cops still on pursuit, and it continued through residential streets. And when they went on residential streets, speeds range from 55 to 80 miles an hour, which is fast when you're going through like, non-highway streets, right? And he passed at least one red light. By this point, several police cars and even a helicopter had joined the husband and wife team. John, that would be like a good like climax scene, right, for this romantic comedy. Like this husband and wife team takes down Rodney King at the end of the movie.
Or they're not together yet,
Yeah,
and that's how they
this
connect.
yeah this is
So that
what
would it's a
solidifies their relationship.
very racist romantic comedy.
Yes, yes, it would do big in the South, right? Um, so they finally caught up with King John, and the first 5 LAPD officers to arrive were Stacy Kuhn, Lawrence Powell, Timothy Wind, Theodore Breseno, and Rolando Solano, and that's when the beating commenced, John. So apparently it started with good old Tim Singer ordered King and his 2 officers to exit the vehicle until they face down on the ground. So this is when Allen claims he was manhandled, kick stomped, taunted, and threatened. And the other passenger, Helms, was hit in the head while he was lying on the ground. And later on, he was treated with a laceration on top of his head. So his bloody baseball cap was turned over to police, and I guess showing the signs of him getting beaten. So King during this whole time he remained in the car. So when he emerged, he was reported to have been gagged, to have patted the ground, and waved to the police helicopter overhead. King grabbed his buttocks, John, his ass cheeks, while Officer Melanie Singer,
Glad you cleared that up.
yes, well, I had to. I just didn't want anybody to be confused by the story at this point. Uh,
Hmm.
and then Melanie Singer, the wife part of this of this duel, she took him. I guess him grabbing his butt cheeks to mean that he was reaching for a weapon. Although they later found that he wasn't armed at all, so she drew a pistol, and she pointed at King, and she ordered him to lie on the ground. So she approached him, and preparing to arrest him. And at this point, when the other officers, Kuhn, who was the ranking officer at the scene, he told Singer that the LAPD was taking command and ordered all officers to holster their weapons. So I guess he wanted to make it a fair fight, John. So if they're gonna beat his ass, they were gonna make sure they have their guns not drawn. Uh, so apparently this goes against their what they're taught. So apparently LAPD officers are taught to approach a suspect without their gun drawn, as there's risk that any suspect may gain control of it. So I guess that's what he was telling her. So Kuhn ordered the four other officers at the scene to subdue and handcuff King using a technique they call it swarm, John. What do you think swarm means? When or do you ever want to hear that word when if you're in a situation with a bunch of police officers?
No, I don't.
So apparently
Wasn't wasn't that in Seinfeld when he steals the book?
oh yeah.
Or
I don't know if it's too swarm, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't think it's Swarm. I can't remember, but I don't know.
Yeah. So
Good old Uncle Leo.
oh yeah. So apparently, swarm job what it involves multiple officers grabbing a suspect with empty hands in order to quickly overcome potential resistance. So as the four officers attempt to restrain him, this is when King started resisting by standing up to remove two of the officers from his back. So the officers later testified that they believe King was under the influence of PCP, although later on his toxicology report tested negative for the drug.
So what? He was drunk.
Apparently he was just drunk. Yeah. Um, so going back to the video, John, just a description for people who maybe haven't seen it. King was tasered twice by one of the officers, Kuhn. So this marks the start of when George Holliday, the civilian who videotaped this. So in the tape, King is on the ground. So he rises and rushes towards one of the officers, Powell. So as the argument cored either to whether Powell, either to attack Powell or to flee, and then King collided with Powell in the rush. So that you can see the taser wire on King's body still. So then Officer Powell strikes King with his baton, and King is knocked to the ground. Powell strikes King several more times with his baton. That's when the other officer, Preseno, moves in, attempting to stop Powell from striking again, and then Powell stands back. The other officer, Kuhn, reportedly said that's enough, and that's when King rises again to his knees, and Powell and Wynn are seen hitting King with their batons. They later acknowledged Kuhn, especially acknowledging continues of batons, directing Powell and Wynn to strike King with what they call it power strokes, John. According to Kuhn, Powell and Wynn, they used burst of power strokes, then backed off. They continued to beat King, and then King continues to try to stand again.
I didn't see this much of the video recently because it was in a movie.
Yeah. So apparently it lasts a while. Kuhn orders the officers to hit his joints, hit the wrists, hit his elbows, hit his knees, hit his ankles. Officers Wynn, Preseno, and Powell attempt numerous baton strikes on King, resulting in some misses, but with 33 blows hitting King plus 7 kicks. The officers again swarm King, but this time a total of 8 officers are involved in the swarm. King is placed in handcuffs and cord cuffs, restraining his arms and legs. He is then dragged on his abdomen, to the side of the road to await the arrival of an emergency medical rescue. So yeah, it was pretty brutal arrest.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
And like I mentioned, Holiday, the civilian, he shot this videotape from the on his camcorder from his apartment near the intersection of Foothill Boulevard and Osborne Street in Lakeview Terrace. Is it Lakeview Terrace that you ever see that movie with Samuel Jackson, Lakeview Terrace?
No.
I think he plays like a corrupt officer there too. So 2 days later, the civilian who shot this, he called the LAPD headquarters to let the police department know that he had videotape of the incident, but he could not find anyone who was interested in seeing the video. So that's when he went to the television station with his videotation.
When he went to the LAPD.
And then the station cut 10 seconds of the video before the image was in focus. And that showed an extremely blurry shot of King rising to his feet and taking one step before being struck by one of the officers. And later, members of the jury said this cut footage was essential to their decision to acquit the officers who had claimed this step represented the first of a charge at them. So the footage as a whole became an instant media sensation. Portions of it were aired numerous times, and it turned what would be an otherwise a violent but soon forgettable encounter between the LAPD.
But they did release the unedited, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, this prompted several what they call cop watch organizations to sprout across the United States to safeguard against police abuse, including an umbrella group called October 22nd Coalition to Stop Police Brutality.
Has a nice ring to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need something catchy.
Let's make it the longest. Yeah. And it doesn't even have it doesn't even lend itself to a good acronym, right? The OSA, because they can't even. There's not even a word to it. The OCSPB. That rolls off your tongue.
Right.
No, but King was pretty beaten after the fact. He suffered a fractured facial bone, a broken right ankle, multiple bruises, lacerations, and he later filed a negligence claim against the city. He says he suffered 11 skull fractures, permanent brain damage, broken bones and teeth, kidney failure, and emotional and physical trauma. Blood and urine samples taken from King 5 hours after his arrest showed that he had been intoxicated under California law at the time of his arrest. The test also showed traces of marijuana. The hospital nurses reported that the officers who accompanied King openly joked and bragged about the number of times they had hit King. So officers obtained King's identification from his clothes pockets at the time, and King later sued the city for damages, and the jury awarded him $3.8 million, as well as $1.7 million in attorney fees. The city did not pursue charges against King for driving while intoxicated and evading arrest. The DA believed there was insufficient evidence for prosecution, and even his successor, Gil Garcetti, thought that by December 1992, too much time had passed to charge King with evading arrest. He also noted that the statute of limitations on drunk driving had passed. So he got his money.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically no criminals but civil suit.
All civil.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest thing was obviously the those 1992 LA riots. Was the biggest thing to come after that, right? I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why they always link the OJ stuff with Rodney King.
Yeah. So good old Rodney King. So later in life,
OJ committed murder at the perfect time.
he did.
In the perfect city.
Yeah, I guess, right? It's just a little bit the aftermath on King himself.
I'm sorry, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, no, I was about to say we don't want to get sued, John. So initially the Los Angeles mayor offered King $200,000 and a 4-year college education funded by the city of Los Angeles, and he refused. So I mean, good he held out. He got a lot more, right?
Gotta say, yeah. So I would also refuse.
Even his passengers in the car, like, I mean, they got beaten too, right? So one of them,
I,
Brian
I
Allen.
would have asked for that money he got, and then I would have told him to just give me the degree.
Yeah.
Kind of
Uh,
honorary degree.
and his passengers, they got a little money too. One of them, Brian Allen, received 35,000. He also sued the city of Los Angeles, and the other passenger, Freddie Helms, received 20,000. But he later died that year in a car accident. So
Were they injured? I don't even know.
yeah, they have minor injuries, but I think King got the majority of the beatings. He was a driver too, so John, did you know what he did with that nice settlement from the city? You want to
No.
guess what he did with it? Do you think he invested it? Do you think he spent it all? Do you think he saved
Probably
it?
went. What was he was driving a '91 Honda XL?
1987 Hyundai Excel, John. 1987.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
He got a 1988 Honda XL.
He probably got a new car, but he also invested a portion of his settlement in a record label, John. Straight Alta Paz Records. He was hoping to use this to employ minority employees, but unsurprisingly, it went out of business, John. He later wrote a memoir and made a movie about his life.
I was
Uh,
gonna ask you. I was like, has anybody made a movie?
yeah. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of King's encounters with police. He would be subject to further arrests and convictions after that 1991 incident, John. He continued struggling with alcohol and drug addiction. In August 21st, 1993, he crashed his car into a block wall in downtown Los Angeles. This time, he was convicted of driving under influence of alcohol, fined, and he entered a rehab program after he was placed on probation. And in July 1995, he was arrested after hitting his wife with his car and knocking her to the ground. He was sentenced to 90 days in jail after being convicted of hit and run. And then his unfortunate run-ins with the law continued into the 2000s. In 2003, he was arrested again for speeding and running a red light while under the influence of alcohol. He failed to yield to police officers and slammed his vehicle into a house, breaking his pelvis. Then later on that decade, in 2007, while riding home on his bicycle, John, so he figured, hey, you know what? I have too much bad luck with cars, right? So he was riding his bicycle home. He was shot in the face, arms, and back with pellets from a shotgun. He reported that the attackers were a man and a woman who demanded his bicycle and shot him when he rode away. Police described.
A man and a woman that were what?
Apparently, they wanted his bicycle, and that's the
Okay.
reason they shot him. In May 2008, he checked into the Pasadena Recovery Center in Pasadena, California, where he filmed as a cast member of season 2 of Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. Um,
Yeah.
it's interesting because we'll get a little later. I don't think it's a spoiler alert, but Mr. King's no longer with us. But that Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew has like it's like a curse to anybody who goes on there. I don't know if you come back to the history of it. A lot of people who've been on the show. I mean, obviously, because a lot of them are drug addicts, right? Or they have substance abuse, but like a good chunk of them have died or they've killed themselves after appearing on the show. So it's
I mean, I don't think most of them are taking it very seriously.
yeah.
Because that's not probably. I'm not a doctor. That's probably not the way to do it.
Yeah.
With a TV crew and
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's very conducive to getting better, right? So Doctor
wouldn't it be terrible? You get pulled aside. They're like, hey, we want you back next season.
a few of them did it a couple of seasons. Like I forget which celebrities did it. A couple of seasons, but yeah.
I'm just saying, like that's how unprofessional and they don't want to help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I want more if you want me back for season 3.
Yeah. Well, Doctor Drew, obviously he's the host of the show. He did show concern for King's life. He said that he would die unless his addiction was treated. I'm sure he says that to everybody, right? I mean, obviously they're on the show because they're pretty bad off. Um,
I
uh,
remember Artie Lang said he was asked to do it
you
a
refuse.
lot of times. Yeah, he didn't want to do it.
Mm.
He's just, but for this, pretty much the same shit I'm saying. I mean, he's not dumb.
Yeah, yeah,
He's like, he goes, my fucking mom wants. He goes, I don't want my mom to watch this show. So like,
yeah, yeah. He also
who
appeared on.
else,
Go ahead.
who else is on that?
On the
I think
celebrity.
I'm trying to
It's
remember like some of the bigger names that
there's a
were.
lot. There, Gary Busey was on there. Dennis Rodman. So yeah, there's a lot of celebrities throughout the years.
Yeah.
He also appeared in the spin-off Sober House. So during his time on both these shows, he worked on his addiction, and he worked on what he said was lingering trauma of the beating. So, I mean, obviously this beating sort of, and I think even more so than just the beating themselves. I think the notoriety, excuse me, that came with it, right? I think that was just as traumatizing than just the beating itself. Just having to sort of, you're Rodney King, and your name is forever synonymous with that incident. I'm sure that does wreck with your head a little bit. Um, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, he
Like OJ.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it does sort of
Except one was way more at fault.
so apparently, it's, I guess, this isn't funny, but it is a little funny if you think about it. So guess what happened on the 20th anniversary of the beating, John?
Another beating.
The LAPD stopped King for driving erratically and issued him a citation for driving an expired license. So it's nice to know, even on the 20th anniversary of that beating, is he did get stopped by the police, but it ended a little more
They have to
peacefully.
know like who he is. Like, you think they know who he is? Like as soon as they pull him over.
I mean, would they like? I mean, imagine you're you're an officer. You're fresh on
But
the
I would
force.
just think specifically LAPD. You know,
Maybe like he's known around LA now.
I
Yeah,
would think so.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure they. I mean, actually they work in a city of nothing but celebrities, right? Well, not nothing but celebrities, but a lot of celebrities. So, yeah, maybe he is known a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah, maybe not in a good way. But I'm just saying, he didn't do anything to deserve that. Obviously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I
Uh,
mentioned, like I think people try to say, "Oh, he's a criminal. Look at all these things." Yeah, but at the end of the day, like I don't think,
uh,
regardless of
I
what you
don't.
are, you deserve getting beaten like that. Especially if, you know,
I
you know.
think you still have rights
Yeah, yeah. So
as a human
yeah, and you look at his list of crimes.
in America.
Yeah, and you look at this list of crimes. They're all tied to his obviously his addiction, right? His alcohol and drug addiction. So, I mean, it's like, so King was.
It's crazy how there was no convictions.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? It's like, mentioned at the top of the hour. Um, nowadays people might think this incident, how big it was back in the early '90s, just even being videotaped. But nowadays we saw in the last decade, everybody, all those videos of cops, beating people and even killing some people while they're pulling over.
This was, I guess, like the Zapruder film for black people.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Because there's just one, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. King has commented on his legacy,
All we know, there was definitely more than one person involved.
just like the JFK one. Yeah. So King has commented on his legacy. Some people feel like I'm some kind of hero. Others hate me. They say I deserved it. Other people, I can hear them mocking me for when I called for an end of the destruction, like I'm a fool for believing in peace. Um, he published his memoir in April 2012. It was titled "The Riot Within: My Journey from Rebellion to Redemption." And then Later on that year, on Father's Day, John, coincidentally, Sunday, June 17th, 2012, he was found dead. He was found lying underwater at the bottom of his swimming pool. He died 20 years to the day after his father, Ronald King, was found dead in his bathtub in 1984. So police in Rialto received a 911 call from his, I guess his wife at the time, about 5:25 a.m. Responding officers removed King from the pool and intended to revive him. He was transferred to hospital and was pronounced dead at 6:11 a.m. It doesn't appear to be foul play. It was an accidental drowning. What?
Yeah, I was gonna say that was that wasn't like an overdose or anything, right?
Well, the autopsy results did say it was an accidental drowning, but they're saying the combination. I guess he had alcohol, cocaine, and PCP in his system. There were contributing factors.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not. I know it's not. I know it's not supposed to be funny, but
essentially, they said the effects of the drugs and alcohol, combined with the subject's heart condition, partly precipitated a cardiac arrhythmia, and it sort of, I guess, it made him like unable to move in the water, so he couldn't save himself.
I'm gonna answer my own question. Yes, yes, it was.
But I guess the official cause was drowning, right? But yeah, the drugs contributed to him drowning.
Sometimes you don't completely fall asleep and pass out in the tub.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Without all the alcohol, coke, and PCP.
Yeah.
Like, I think the odds go against you.
Obviously he's been, like I meant, I think we've all seen it. He's been mentioned in a lot of pop culture, John. We saw, people have used his beating. Remember Malcolm X? I think did Spike Lee have a snippet of that video, in Malcolm X.
They've used it in a lot of movies, right?
Yeah, and then he's obviously the beating's mentioned, and I think a lot of the OJ, like whether it's that. Did you ever watch The People versus OJ Simpson, the American Crime Story, where I think John Travolta was one of the lawyers and Cuba Gooding Jr. played OJ.
I haven't watched it.
It's pretty good.
I don't know if I ever will.
It's pretty good. It's not that bad.
I liked the ESPN one. The 8-parter is it 8 parts? You said?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of.
We were talking. It's funny, we were talking about that before we started this, and I didn't even know what we were going to talk about.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I think he gets mentioned a lot whenever there's a documentary or a movie on OJ that gets mentioned, because obviously the OJ Simpson defense.
You got to set the climate.
Yeah. Even like something like, remember that movie Straight Outta Compton? They covered a little bit of the Rodney King beating and then the subsequent riots. Obviously, it was happening around that time. So yeah, you're right. It's crazy, the Rodney King beating and those riots. It did set the stage for a lot of things in that early '90s LA area. So it was a big event. I mean, it might seem small, but it did sort of form that environment in that early '90s, and that that tension that you had between African Americans and the police. So it was a huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna I'm definitely on Team Rodney. I'm not fucking. Yeah, like I'm not. I'm not racist or anything like that. It has nothing even to do. Well, it did probably does have to do with race, but
the beating itself.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it has to do with race.
But at the same time, anybody should have won that case.
Yeah. You know what? It makes the whole story obviously more complex. The fact that this guy wasn't obviously a perfect angel, but I think there's something there. Like, yeah, this guy struggled, right? And I think this incident made his life even worse. I mean, he didn't lead a very good life even after that. So, I mean, yeah, he wasn't a perfect person, but who is?
It all comes down to what happened that day.
Yeah.
When he got pulled over.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I know it did turn into a chase. I get that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which normally, and I'm sure you've seen enough high-speed chase videos where they're usually aggressive, but
Yeah. They're pretty aggressive.
but yeah, this was excessive.
And it leads to the
To say the
I think there's a lot of viewpoints on this, and throughout the years. But give me your opinion. What do you think about police engaging in these high speed pursuits, especially when it comes to like, say somebody's driving drunk, like say, hey, like in this instance he was speeding, right? And then they continue to chase him. Like, do you think do you think it's a little counterproductive to pursue obviously people who are gonna do any means necessary to escape your you know
it always seems dangerous, right?
mm-hmm. There's no
But
safe
sometimes,
way for them to like get them off the street.
right? What's are there cars now? Like, this is how little I know and how I buy shitty cars. Are there cars where they can like turn the car off?
I think if it's like one of those like, I think I never had one with it, but like OnStar, if the car is
Yeah.
OnStar, they can stop it.
Yeah, like if you're like somebody stole my vehicle, right? Like they
Yeah,
can like disable your vehicle.
and I think they can even lock the doors.
I'm sorry, but that'd be
It's
a funny
scary.
situation.
It's scary though, right? A little bit. Yeah.
No, it is scary, but I'm just saying, as a criminal, I would feel really stupid. I'd be like locked in the car that you stole.
Well,
Like,
you ever seen?
with,
I forget what channel it was on. It might have been like Spike TV or True TV or one of those weird channels. But these have a, I don't know if they still do it, where it was like a bait car, and they would bait people to steal the car, and then
I hated that. I
yeah,
hated that show.
yeah, and they were able to like remotely stop the car and lock the door. So you see like these people who were entrapped into stealing
That
this car.
that's probably why it's in my head because of that show.
I think it was called, what was it called? Bait. It might be like
I
bait
think
car or something like that.
I think it was bait car,
Yeah.
bait car,
Hmm.
something. I think it was bait car or something.
Yeah.
I hated that show though.
You hate it just from
But
like just a like a your stance on like, hey, is this
yeah,
entrapment or
yeah, it's like it does seem they would like leave the keys in the car, right?
yeah. What do you
They
expect?
put, they put like a free sign on the side. I don't know, but I'm just saying at the same time, like, you guys, there's a lot worse people than this that you could go out and be working on right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like at the end of the day, is this person stealing his car? How much damage are they really doing as opposed to
Kind of like
somebody?
the same thing with like prostitution stings.
Hmm.
I hate those too
Yeah.
because I'm just like, just leave them alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess they're a little bit different. Like I'm saying, prostitution should probably be legal. There should just be regulated.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm not saying like cars like Grand Theft Auto should be legal, but
Well, it just seems like it seems like it's a lot of resources spent on such a minor
all right,
thing, right?
on a, yeah, on a non-violent crime.
Yeah, like I mean, as much as it sucks to
It,
have your
it's kind
vehicle
of like
stolen.
my whole thing with the bank where I've told you. I'm like, if you can rob a bank and not get caught and not pull a weapon, you should get to keep the money.
I guess. Yeah, I mean,
So
I guess you
like
look at
if
it
you
that
do
way.
like yeah, if you do some like Italian job shit
Mhm.
or like
But
no,
it I can
or
understand like
or
getting your
stolen
car
art.
getting your car stolen must be very frustrating. I mean, I've been lucky not ever to have that, but I mean,
I
that's
had
what you have insurance. I mean, I'm not saying the people sitting in your car are nice, but
you don't necessarily have full coverage though.
no, I know. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like it's just a thing, you know. I'm not saying, hey, I have sympathy for the people sitting in your car, but is
No,
that having those bait cars out there, is it really going to solve the issue? Probably isn't.
no, it's not. They're they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if you ever
It-
leave your
there's-
car,
I
if
think
you ever leave your keys in your
there's a
ignition,
big difference between like taking a weapon out or like assaulting somebody.
Yeah, yeah. As opposed to
Yeah,
like there's car,
there's a
there's
reason
keys
why
in the
they
ignition.
right.
Yeah. Like that's pretty like yeah you're expected to be stolen. If you have keys in the ignition, someone's gonna steal the car.
Right.
But I don't know. So Rodney King being directly responsible for the shitty big car show. I think that's what we got off of today's
Executive
episode.
producer Rodney King.
Yes. uh, so lasting legacy of Rodney King, John. He produced a lot of lame jokes in the '90s when he came to cop speeding up black people. So that's gonna be his enduring legacy.
Are you about to rattle off a lot of racist jokes?
Um, we have 5 minutes. Yeah, I have a list.
I don't. I don't.
No,
I
I'm just
don't
joking.
know.
I'm just joking.
I
No,
don't
no,
know
but
any.
no. I think the majority of the joke was always like, oh, he got beaten by like Rodney King or, you know, it's funny. A lot of the jokes are just really like it was really lame. Like I don't think there's really ever. I don't think I ever heard like a funny Rodney King joke. I think the first Rodney King joke was as funny as you're gonna get, and after that, it's like yeah, it's pretty much the same joke, just told a little differently.
Yeah, maybe. I don't really know any Rodney King jokes, honestly.
Yeah.
Uh, it's funny is you know what doesn't get old? OJ jokes. If they're done right
Yeah. Yeah. I think Jamie
for
Foxx.
some reason.
Jamie Foxx had a funny one where he made fun of OJ's walk, and he goes, "It looks like he's wiping the blood off his shoes when he walks."
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. So Rodney King, John. Any parting thoughts
Boy,
that you want to have about Rodney King, the state of police brutality, or Rodney
it's
King jokes?
it's still fucked up. I don't even watch the news. I'm trying to find it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
There was one like in the last week.
I got beating.
Yeah, I think a woman. Yeah, what happened? Oh, I don't know, guys. Find it. I'm trying to find it in recent news. 3 arrested, New Orleans. Beaten. Police. I don't know. I don't know if it happened in the last week, but I saw it on television in the last week.
Right. You know,
The Fuller.
and I think it's tough to be objective in when you're talking about this subject matter because either side is gonna look at you like, oh, you're going against them, like, oh, you're going against the police. Hey, the police are you get the the rhetoric. Hey, the police they're risking their lives every day, right? And it's almost like we need to treat every police officer as, you know, with kid gloves almost. Like, well, there's bad seats in any organization, right? There's bad lawyers, there's bad doctors, there's bad dentists, there's bad police officers. I mean, it's no different. You're gonna have bad seats in any.
It's a little different.
But the only difference is obviously
Your dentist isn't usually armed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the biggest difference, right? Like some of the other bad seeds in other professions, they can't kill you. I mean, maybe other than a doctor, but even then, it's just.
I told you I used to have an accountant that keep a gun on the desk, right? Or in his desk.
Your mom accountant.
I don't know why. I was thinking of other professions that you're saying that aren't armed. I'm like, what about accountants? That's just one.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
Chris Rock has that joke in his last Netflix special, and he is making a point. He said there are some professions where there can't be a few bad apples.
That's true.
I mean,
yeah.
I think he tries to use like pilots as an example.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
I mean, but it's true. I mean, it's true. I mean, I think there's gonna be certain professions that you're gonna have a little bit more scrutiny, and being a police officer is just one of them, right? I mean, it sucks that a few one's gonna make you look bad, but I mean that's You know, if I was a police officer and I wasn't one of those bad people, officers, yeah, I mean, I would want the bad seats to be taken off the force. You know, that's I've never understood why there's such a fight to make, hey, we need to keep these guys on the force. They were just doing their job. It's like, wouldn't you want them off the force so that they don't continue to make you look bad? I don't know. But, I mean, it's easier for me to say. I'm not a comp, so, but, like, I don't know.
I think that I'm like 150% for the not dash cams, dash cams too.
Body cams?
Body cams.
Yeah.
I don't think they're not mandatory everywhere, are they?
No, I don't think so. And a lot of it, I think, it's just cost. They're not the cheapest, but yeah, it's not mandatory in a lot of areas.
I also think lobbyists should have them. I think I've told you that before.
Lobbyists?
Yeah.
But when they turn them on, when they're bribing a politician?
Yep.
It's like, wait, Senator, let me turn on my body cam before I hand you this bribe.
Well, there's a paper trail of when they meet. We should be able to see every minute of that meeting.
Right? Oh, that is true. That will never happen.
He's got the suitcase with the money right there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like the John DeLorean video.
Yeah. Well, was it cocaine?
Yeah.
Beautiful car, John.
For some reason, Larry Flint ended up with the video.
Larry Flint was involved in a lot of like important like news stories in the late '80s, early '90s, right?
Yeah.
I mean, motherfucker went to he was part of a Supreme Court case that was huge for the First Amendment. Was it Larry Flint versus Jerry Falwell? I mean, that's a historic Supreme Court case, judgment.
Yeah. It is important.
Yeah, it's big on the First Amendment, but
it's a good movie too.
Yeah. So Rodney King, John, early '90s relic, continues to resonate even 29 years later.
So when was this the anniversary?
No, I think it was back in April 3rd or March 3rd. I can't remember.
Okay, I'm just curious why you picked it.
Huh?
Oh, okay. I was just curious why you picked it.
Nah, no reason.
I thought maybe it's like, is it today? Like,
nah. It was a few months ago, the 29th anniversary. So.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we're closer to his death anniversary than we are to when it happened. I think he died in June, so. 8 years ago.
I'm definitely on Team Rodney on this one.
We'll print out shirts and you can wear your Team Rodney shirt.
I have to explain it to everyone.
And it just says Rodney. It doesn't say King. So like it's like, is this guy named, like, does he know somebody named Rodney that he's supporting, or
Dangerfield?
Right. So that way, like, if you sense the situation might get a little tense, if you tell him it's Rodney King, you can just say like Dangerfield, or what other famous Rodneys are there? There's Rodney King, Rodney Dangerfield. What's another famous Rodney?
That's what I was saying. I don't think it's that common of a name.
It isn't, right? It's your cousin Rodney.
Yeah. Remember there used to be a local insurance. Was it Rodney B. Young?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the thing. It was there. This was their theme song. It was like Rodney B. Young. That was it.
That was it. There isn't a lot. I mean, Rodney King and Rodney Dangerfield pretty much are the biggest. Rodney Hood, he was a basketball player. Rodney Harrison, the football player. Rodney Pete, the quarterback. Yeah, it's a pretty small list for famous Rodneys. It's a lot of Rodneys in sports. Rodney Stuckey, another basketball player. Rodney McLeod, football player. So yeah, it's a pretty thin list. So yeah, probably the most famous Rodney is Rodney King. So
yeah.
So So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we leave another episode. Hopefully, you learned a little bit about, you know, police brutality, the
And
effects of said police
you
brutality.
do have the right to film. They just hate it.
Yeah, and they will intimidate you to stop filming.
Yeah, but Supreme Court says you do have the right to film.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, at least you'll catch the when they tell you to stop filming. At least if you don't, you'll film their beating you with their batons, right?
Yeah. Right. Bring it back to film the not guilty verdict.
Yes. All right, John. So we'll leave everybody for another episode. Hope everybody had fun, learned a lot. Next podcast, let's do a more upbeat topic next podcast. I think we've been a little downbeat the last few, so we'll bring you.
Trying to bring it up during this pandemic.
Yes. All right, everybody. We'll see you again on the next episode. Bye bye.